Donald Trump has once again captured the attention of the international press, this time with his peace plan. The plan doesn't bring anything revolutionary in approach, but in a world gone mad, the simple fact that someone suggests the common-sense solution for the warring parties to sit at the negotiating table and ease the conflict is a big step forward compared to the perpetuation or proliferation of the conflict, continuously agitated by the crusaders of democracy and political idealism. I take this moment to propose my own peace plan, much better than Trump's, I say, because it brings new alternatives to the table and considers people, not just geopolitical interests. The plan proposed by Trump is, ultimately, just a forceful plan. Forceful plans work well when eagles fight doves. When eagles fight other eagles, they don't work as well, and Putin is an eagle too. The truth is that people urgently need help, and the first step is to stop the war. Meanwhile, people are dying in the war, or are displaced from their families, leaving behind only suffering. Meanwhile, infrastructure built over decades is destroyed day by day, other towns are being devastated, and enough people driven by their own petty interests and those who manipulate them try to incite us and sell us the idea that the war must end only with Russia's defeat. What's even sadder is that their vision is supported in society because they are masters at exacerbating fear in crowds through appeals to instinct and emotion, annihilating reason and logic. My plan starts from the premise that the reconstruction of Ukraine after this war, in terms of infrastructure, housing, and the economy, will have exorbitant financial costs that no state in the world can afford. Therefore, the reconstruction of these regions to modern standards will have to be an international effort with broad global support. And to gain the support of as many states as possible, the plan, through its terms and conditions, must guarantee future peace and stability in the area, which it does successfully, because after this plan, as you will see, Ukraine will no longer be a danger in the geopolitics of the region. My plan assumes that Ukraine will no longer exist as a state within its current borders, but that its territory will be divided among neighboring states from which these territories were taken in the past. Human lives are precious, and nothing justifies their loss. But the only instance in which these lives were not completely lost in vain is if, following their sacrifice, a more valuable state structure emerges than the one that preceded it, as was the case with the sacrifice of those who lost their lives in the 1989 revolution in Romania. Thus, Transcarpathia would return to Hungary, Galicia would return to Poland, northern Bukovina would return to Romania, Bessarabia would return to Moldova, Crimea and Donbass would return to Russia, and the remaining territory would be Ukraine as it remains after this war. Before the administrative territorial implementation of this plan, there would be a 6-month period during which Ukrainian citizens could move freely within the country and freely choose the administrative territorial unit they want to be part of, and implicitly, the country to which they will belong once the relevant legislation comes into effect. This peace alternative has the advantage of attracting more direct interest from neighboring countries to support the end of the conflict, and the burden of reconstruction will be shared among more contributors. The international community will contribute funds only for the reconstruction of the resulting Ukrainian territory, much smaller than the current one. The implementation of this plan will be monitored by a coalition of international organizations and neutral states, thus ensuring respect for human rights and other international norms throughout its duration. But the main advantage is that the redistribution of territories would ensure lasting social peace in the area, because it would take into account what the Ukrainian citizens want for their future, and they would no longer be divided like cattle in some treaty from Malta. This war could have been avoided, but if we weren't wise enough to do so, maybe at least now, with hindsight, we can find a way to stop it. Because any potential gain from its continuation for global macropolitics translates into daily losses for ordinary people. And we Europeans should learn a lesson from this. Those who give you weapons don't necessarily want your good. This war started from the greed of the American arms industry, which wanted to seize more and more markets for its goods. We live in times where the moral value of those we have gotten to lead us has decayed so much that we would be better off without them. Times when being a normal person with solid traditional values tested over time automatically puts you in the elite of society, because money, fame, and weakness of character have greatly degraded those who once formed the leading elite of society. There are many people today who no longer have a clean conscience, and heroes have become scarce. We have more anti-heroes now.